The best playwrights know how to lift the curtain between the world and the stage, and that certainly applies to a new production of Shakespeare in Love, the play based on the popular movies being presented through February 10th by the SpeakEasy Stage Company at the Boston Center for the Arts in the Calderwood Pavilion in the South End. To tell us about the production are two of the cast members, George Olesky and Eddie Shields. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.
You're both characters, and you play the famous playwrights. I want to start with Shakespeare, George Olesky. Yeah. You had to study for this, work up a Shakespeare. What did you find in your studying the original here?
Well, it's interesting because there's only so much we know about him, and but nonetheless, I looked at two texts. One was Bill Bryson, and the other James Shapiro's A Year in the Life, just to get a sense of the economic environment. And both of them expand on the facts that we do have about Shakespeare. But at the end of the day, you let that sit and really see what's on the page in the actual script and what that gives you, and respond and make choices based on that as well. But yeah, you really you need to get a strong sense of the economic and social and religious factors that were at play during that time, just to give you clues of the rules and the behavior of that world.
Of course, at the time, this is young Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He's not totally established. He's still straddling this water. He's a playwright. He's an actor. And a hustler.
And he's scrappy. Yeah. I mean, he's written in the world of the play. He's written a couple of hits, but nothing that's been as great as his friend Marlowe, as friend Marlowe's work and contemporary. And and he's at this point in the play, we meet him at the very beginning, and he's more or less very much hit this writer's block. He can't seem to bring out the next best thing. And I think that he has higher standards than he's had for himself until that point.
Eddie, tell us what you were trying to bring out in Marlowe.
Yeah, so I read a lot about Marlowe. I was a huge Christopher Marlowe fan, just in general, a fan of who he was as a writer and a person. So just reading a lot about him throughout kind of the past 5 years, just by happenstance. Really liked his story, really liked his history, and I liked his relationship with William Shakespeare. So that's something that me and George try to bring on stage, kind of how they are friends but almost rivals in the same way as well. They kind of challenge each other to be better. Ultimately, Christopher Marlowe obviously dies, and then that's when Shakespeare really takes off with his work.
Talk about the difference between this play, George, and the movie version that some people might remember. I remember, a couple of leading actors in the play, and I guess the sense that this is not so much about a couple of stars as a whole theater company, maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw the movie years ago and chose not to take a look at it once I found out that I'd be working on this. But my sense is that the movie is very much about the love story and of course the creation of Romeo and Juliet being somewhat secondary. I think that this adaptation is very much written for a theater audience and a theater space and the theatrical experience, and you see much more of the love story between Viola and Will is present, and of course a driving force for the play, but I really think it's a celebration of what it is to make a play, the risks involved, be they economic or even life or death. And it's a real ensemble piece, and I think that I don't remember that as much from the film, and I think we're leaning heavily into that in the play.
Eddie, does this make you think about just your own experience working in a stage company with all the pitfalls and all these surprises, maybe?
Of course, because a lot of that theme is also in the play that we're doing. It's a theater company putting on almost a show, and then we are a theater company putting on a show as well, so it's a little meta. Yeah. It's really fun, just to be in that experience and have your actors support you throughout the show, and then know that you're also telling the story as well.
And George, a lot of us think automatically that with a movie you get more realism or something because of all the technology around it. But this is in a theater. It's about theater. So talk about the effect of seeing something like that in that setting.
Yeah, well, just in terms of style, I think film is almost sort of perfect naturalism, and I think this play is very much, just to speak, my perspective of being in it and acting in it, you really have to balance between making big events happen, which may not come across as naturalistic on camera, but they have to happen in the space, and I think Shakespeare is going through some fairly relatable and real, very real moments where some of the other characters have a little bit more leeway in terms of style and whether something is real or not. I don't know if that answers your question.
The other thing, Eddie, this is different from Shakespeare itself. Talk about the difference, because when you're reading Shakespeare, it's essentially poetry in large chunks a lot of the time. How is this different?
Yeah, this was definitely made for a modern audience. A lot of times when you see a Shakespeare show, it takes you a while for your ear to catch on. Although you might not know what they're saying, you definitely know how they're feeling. With this, you know what they're saying, and then we add in some, or the writers added in some Shakespeare lines that you would recognize. So like to be or not to be, God has given you one face, you run around with another. So those people who are used to Shakespeare in the audience will see those tropes on and off throughout the play.
This is Being in News. We're talking with George Olesky and Eddie Shields from SpeakEasy Stage Company. George, the other thing here is that both of you actually have these Boston connections. Either you grew up here or went to school here, so you must have some people who know you coming to see this. How does it feel like performing in front of people like that?
It's fun. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Newton, and so my mom has sort of made sure that everyone I've ever met who's still in town or alive sees this show. And it's interesting to have that experience, to share that experience, and actually not ever performing in Boston before on stage, and having folks who I've known and have never seen me act or have never seen a play I've been involved in. It's really fun. It's exciting to have people. I mean, theater can be a space where people can kind of just revel in community, and having all sorts of folks that I know and meeting new folks come together for this is really fun. It's exciting.
What about you, Eddie? I mean, I guess this was the same in Shakespeare. They all knew each other.
Yeah. So I went to Brandeis for my master's degree, and that's how I kind of have a Boston connection here. When I graduated, I've been working here in the theater for a couple of years, and it's exciting to perform here, especially because a lot of the audience members are your friends in your community.
Yeah.
Not only that, you get to grow and learn the audience members who come to see shows, and they really enjoy it. And especially in this play, I feel like the audience is another character. They're very much a part of the play, which is a huge difference than in the movie as well, obviously.
And how does that work exactly, Drew, what the audience does here?
Well, the dramatic irony of the script is palpable. And so when we had our first audience, more than any play I've worked on, it was as if a whole new character had shown up. Because the audience is in on the joke, and they're welcomed into the play, even from the outset. We're acknowledging that they exist. There isn't a precious fourth wall. They're part of, even the set itself is a reflection of the literal space in the Calderwood where we're performing. So, yeah, it's tremendously exciting to have them part of it and have them know that they're part of it from the outset, and I feel like that they can relax and with that knowledge from the beginning, from the get-go, really.
Finally, Eddie, if people want some more information, they can get about this, because you're going to February 10th, so where should they check that out?
Yeah, you should definitely go to SpeakEasyStage.com. You can see tickets there for not only Shakespeare in Love, but all of SpeakEasy season as well.
Thank you both very much, Eddie Shields and George Olesky.